USA, land of the what, home of the what. It really don't feel like that these days. Y'all following sheep, I follow my gut. I will not comply with these mandates. Y'all do what they say, I do what I want. Better step up before it's too late.
All
You know
right,
where to
and
find me.
here
I'm
we
up in the
are.
front.
Here we have Jesse Storm here, and Jesse Storm decided to come on with us to make an announcement. And well, can you hear me, Jesse?
I can hear you just fine. Thank you for bringing me on.
Right. This is Jesse Storm. Like I said, you may have seen or heard about him before. He was an advocate for transparency in public meetings. He's been for free speech, and now he's like to make an announcement tonight. But Jesse, could you maybe tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself?
Okay, thanks. So my name is Jesse Storm, as you can see here on the screen. Just in case you don't remember it, it's there. But anyway, I've been a Pennsylvania resident all my life. For the most part, I should say there was about 2 years where I was in Texas for a little bit for work. But I was born in Hanover, Pennsylvania, little country podunk town that's grown up to be a little mini metropolis now, with people moving up from Maryland into it. Then I moved when I got married and moved to Lancaster and lived in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, Millersville area for almost 22 years. My daughter was out of the house and on to being an adult, and I traveled a lot for real estate. So I was trying to redevelop the coal region, basically Shamokin, Coal Township, over to Mount Carmel. We were buying properties, rehabbing them, renting them, helping to bring the market values of homes up. And the weird thing was locally they had a code that said that you couldn't manage your own properties unless you lived within 20 miles of the town. As a licensed real estate professional, we're licensed to work across the entire state of Pennsylvania. So instead of fighting that battle, I just bought a home in Coal Township, and now I've remodeled and rebuilt. So a lot of folks remember the Nash Bakery back in the day. Well, I bought their homestead, and their homestead was crumbling and the roof was falling in. So I bought the homestead, rehabbed the place, made it a viable home again. And I currently live here in the old Nash homestead on Mulberry Street in Coal Township. Been here for about 5 years now. And I spent a lot of time in those 5 years trying to convince local politicians to do the right thing for the people. And got a lot of pushback. I mean, I'm sure many of you out there have gone to public meetings and you voice a concern, and then you just feel like it falls on deaf ears. Even though it's a very rational idea, a rational thought, it just seems like it falls on deaf ears. So one of those was that I fought real hard with here was in Shamokin. They tried to pass an ordinance that requires you to use a 20-gallon trash can, which only a 13-gallon kitchen bag is going to fit in, to put your trash out, because the issue was trash blowing down the street. So you take a family that has a 296-gallon Gaylords from Waste Management and force them to use 13 20-gallon trash cans. What kind of sense does that make?
It doesn't make sense. A lot of things around here don't make sense, especially, like I said, when you go to meetings. Like, a lot of people knew you were advocating for transparency in some of these meetings because for some reason they didn't want people to know what they were doing unless they were there. But you did decide to come on here to I guess make an announcement of what your next move in our area is going to be. And if you would like to let everybody know that and make it the official announcement, you can go right ahead and do that right now.
Sure. So Coal Region Disconnected is the first place that I felt was a strong enough media to put out to the local people, not necessarily the world, because I don't care about the world. I care about the local people in the local community in the county in which I reside in and have been trying to help to redevelop. That is, I've been asked by many, many people over the past 5 years to run for a public office. Unfortunately, that public office couldn't be Shamokin because I don't live in Shamokin. So me personally, I think Mount Carmel is doing a great job. Coal Township's doing a pretty decent job. A lot of the municipalities in Northumberland County, for the most part, are doing a pretty decent job. So the option was presented to me a few months ago to run for county commissioner. So I'm here today, with Coal Region Disconnect to discuss the fact that I've made the final decision. I'm going to run as county commissioner for Northumberland County. couple of simple reasons is, there are a lot of little things, a lot of transparency things, a lot of good old boy things that need to be straightened out in the county. And I think with the experience that I bring to the table, from things that I've done in my past with lobbying Harrisburg and working with communities like Lancaster and Harrisburg and York and Lewisberry and all of these other communities to rebuild their communities, because homeownership is the largest piece of the driving force to fix communities. Pride in homeownership.
Well, I know about what a commissioner is, but there's a lot of people that they might have heard the word commissioner, especially here in Northumberland County, and they might not have any idea what it is that a county commissioner does or how many commissioners there are. I mean, if you could let us know what would your job be if you were to, say, get voted in on this year?
Well, thanks for asking. So simple answer there is there are three people who sit on the board, two of the minority party and one of the minor party. So right now, that would be two Republicans and one Democrat. You guys heard of Claiborne and all of the different people who currently probably sit there. Yeah, some of them aren't rerunning. Others just aren't doing, I think, what we need to do for the county as a whole. So the two big things that the county commissioners do, one is control budget. So the courthouse issues their budget to the county commissioners. The county commissioners look over that budget, and being a businessman almost all of my life, I am really good with budgets. I like to look at budgets, figure out where can we cut things to get rid of wasteful spending, but where we can add that money back in to make it super beneficial for a community or for the people themselves, because that building is owned by the people, not the commissioners. So that budget is the first big one for across the county. What a commissioner also does in the budget side of things is we push to bring more money into the county. So like right now, Pennsylvania has the highest gas tax in the country. A large portion of that money gets divided up and sent out, but only a small piece of it comes out to the counties and municipalities across the state. Then there's a second fund that was started back in I think 2000 and mid 2000s, where it was an opt-in, opt-out for almost another 63 cents a gallon of gas that would come out to the counties to distribute out to the municipalities. And we've never, as a county, opted in for that money. Only, I believe, 13 counties have opted in for that money in the state of Pennsylvania at this point. I want to make Northumberland County one of those counties to opt in to get that money, because how's the street in front of your house? Could it use a little love?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look around here, people question why we have to get our cars registered or inspected for roads that aren't, roadworthy for vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah, you take a Toyota Prius and you have to put a 3-inch lift kit on it to prevent bottoming out in some of these potholes in our community. Don't go to Walmart in Cole Township. By golly, you're going to need a boat and a couple of oars to get through those craters to get in and out of that parking lot. But budget is one of the big things. The other thing is safety. So in safety lies in the county commission looking at what's going on. Look what's going on in the county, pass legislation for the safety of the people of the county. And in regards to that, a lot of counties, well, you got 3 counties that I know of at this point. There could be more that have passed decriminalization of marijuana. Everybody talks about a drug issue in Northumberland County. Well, sometimes people who use narcotics go to the cheapest possible thing. And methamphetamines is a big issue in our area. And right now it's cheaper than going and getting a medical supply card to go to a dispensary and buy marijuana. So why can't we follow suit with places like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Washington, D.C., where the federal laws are written, and decriminalize marijuana, let people use something that helps your body and helps calm you down instead of keeping you up 24 hours a day looking for your next fix, and actually help our community. I think decriminalizing marijuana in the county, again, all of this gets decided by the county commissioners to do that. But I think we should look at legislation like they have in DC, where you can have 4 mature plants, 2 immature plants. So you're not buying the product and transporting it. But safety also curtails into the prison. Our prison is so understaffed, and our current commissioners aren't going out to, I have a list of 18 different schools within driving distance of Northumberland County that actually train people to be prison guards, or pre-law programs that people go to become a police officer. And when they can't get a job in that line, they step back to being a prison guard to get time in till they can find a job as a police officer. But we're not attracting any of those. And with payroll being $15 to $17 an hour, you're never going to attract them. They can make that money at McDonald's. Why would they risk their life every day of the week? The other big issue I've gotten in with the prison system is they haven't had work release in years. So not only are you funding them to be in jail, but their families going on welfare and food stamps and other assistance programs to pay for their home and their food and their meals for the wife or girlfriend and the children at home while you're in jail, or vice versa if she's in jail. So we're not only funding them in jail, but we're funding their household too. So let's put them out on work release. And what a lot of people don't realize is the state pays the county $63 extra per inmate out on work release per day. So that would help cover the cost of the extra guards needed, because now those people are out on work release. Those guards can be in other parts of the jail throughout the day, helping to supervise and do the things needed to be done. But also, once they get that paycheck, 50% of that paycheck is required by state law to go back to fund their room and board, pay for them to be in jail, and to pay for their fines and restitution. So if you're a business that got a plate glass window busted in, there's a good chance you're never going to get restitution. The person's going to pass away before you ever see a dime. At least if they're on work release, you have a good chance of seeing some of that money back to your business. Or if your house got robbed, there's a good chance you might see that money back. Second half of that money can be kept in jail, in their commissary to pay for foods and things like that, or can be sent home to their family to help their wives and their children, so they're not a burden on society while they're in jail.
It never did make sense to me with child support being sent to prison for that, because they're not working, they're not paying their child support while they're in prison anyway. The taxpayers are paying for it, and like you said, they're also paying for, say, welfare benefits and everything else, because now you just took a piece of their family out of the equation. But so what I'm hearing you're saying about being a commissioner is it's almost like it's like a business administrator of the county.
Correct.
It almost seems like with the budgeting, if you were to cut like you said, the fat out of the budget and stop reckless spending, maybe we could fix some things around here. Maybe it was because of the budgets and stuff. Maybe that's why, say, Shamokin with the Act 47 in distress, there's a lot of things going on with that. But so what you're saying is you're running because the commissioners now aren't holding up their end of the bargain, is what you're saying?
Yeah, so a common phrase that's been used for years is, to continue to do the same thing. Well, you and I both know when you're trying to fix something, if you do the same thing you did last year, you're not going to get any different outcome. And the epitome of crazy is to do the same thing year after year and expect a different outcome. So I think what we need is the people's voice into their house. That building down there where the commissioners are sitting, where the tax office is, that building's the people's building. The courthouse across the street is the people's building. We want to bring the county back to the people. We want the people to run their county. We want the people's voice into what's going on in their neighborhoods and their county. And I think we can do that with the people who are looking to run for office this year, myself being one of them. I've had a lot of people say, Jesse, you're a Democrat. Oh, you're a Democrat. We're a Republican community. Okay. You got to have one Democrat there. The Democrat that's there has already announced she's not rerunning. She's actually running for Judge Saylor's position as a judge in the county courthouse. So that seat is completely open.
That'd be Kimberly Best.
Miss Best, yes. So I would appreciate your vote for me if you could give me your vote. as a Democrat to fill that seat, I guarantee you that I will show up to 200% more meetings than she has during the term of office she's been at, because she's missed so many offices. I could probably miss one every other month and still beat 200% than what she's done. I want to be there for this community. I want to fight hard. For those of you who know me, I took 27 felony counts of wiretapping just last year for recording mayors and council members lying to the public. Those charges were all thrown out. Those charges were all dismissed. But that is how much I fight for the public. I am willing to go to jail to make sure that your rights are protected in this county.
Absolutely. I mean, I get a lot of flack. A lot of people come on to my show. A lot of mostly politicians are Republicans, but I try not to be biased. I think everybody should be heard, and I think that everybody should have the right information when walking into the polling places. And that'd be a question of mine is, since you would be kind of at the top, kind of a administrator and help with legislation and stuff like that, how do you think you could work together, say with Republicans, with Democrats, to make choices in a bipartisan way that's better for the community? Because I know a lot of people I've seen over the last weekend with the House of Representatives in the United States Congress, and we never get anything done when everybody's divided. And if we could come together, do you think you could bring that to the table?
I am glad you asked that question. So understand, I am a Democrat. I am not woke. I am your grandfather's Democrat. I am the old school Democrat who believes in the people, the people's voice. And if the people tell me, Jesse, we need this done, I will stand on the desk if necessary and yell and scream and fight to get it done for you, the people, because you're the one in control. So a lot of times you see police officers going down through the community. We need police officers, by the way. Don't get me wrong. We cannot live life without police officers. But these police officers that have a chip on their shoulder and act like they're too good for you, they don't need to be in our communities. Okay, let's take a simple town like Shamokin for an example. You've got a small police department. Actually, it's a pretty decent sized police department for Northumberland County. And then you've got a chief of police who reports to the mayor of Shamokin. The mayor laughs, giggles, and jokes about everything, but doesn't really push any hard button issues. When you have a police chief that sits there at a public meeting and says that if you walk up and you're recording, we're going to arrest you for recording and interfering with a police investigation. Well, let me tell you, folks, you have 10 feet, as long as you are 10 feet away from that police officer, if he touches you, call me as county commissioner, because I will be there to fight for you as county commissioner. Because again, we need police officers that respect the people that pay their paycheck. You, the taxpayer, you, the business owner, pay their paycheck. Not Mayor Ulrich or any other mayor in Northumberland County or across Pennsylvania. You, the taxpayers, are paying their salary. If they can't be respectful for you, fire them.
Well, I would hope that you could try to push related, because police officers need to follow laws too. I too heard about that meeting, and my response was, well, if you take my phone, you're going to be buying me about 100 more of them, because I'd be taking it to court, because police officers can be recorded in uniform in their duties, no matter what they're doing, and when they designate a crime scene, you're not allowed in the crime scene. So I don't understand why the chief of police just came out and said that. Maybe he's underinformed or misinformed, but yeah, I mean, I would hope that you would be able to, and we have seen you fight. I have seen you in the newspapers and at meetings and recordings, trying to get just to show people what's going on. Because when people don't know what's going on, that's when the shady things happen. That's when there's reckless spending, and then that's when there's grants missing, millions of dollars in grants that got put into things that just didn't happen, like like the burned out houses and stuff, saying Shamokin, Mount Carmel, and all those places that are the blight that's making people not want to move here, making people not want to do business here. You don't bring business, you don't bring jobs, you don't bring people, everything starts falling apart. There is no tax base. And those are the kind of things that I would like to see in a commissioner. I would like to see anybody that's in charge of the entire county budget or passing a budget proposal is to cut out the stuff and to make sure that the money's going to where it's actually needed and not just willy-nilly anywhere where anybody like their friends are, or they're, like you said, the good old boys club.
Yeah, let's do that. So understand, folks, this is my first time in this arena. I've never been a politician before. I ran against Katie True in Lancaster County to prove a point years ago for the custody issue, that custody laws need to be reformed. Katie True was a Republican in my district years ago when I was going through a custody battle in Pennsylvania with my own child. And she felt because her husband with a child from an ex-marriage could communicate and work everything out, there was never a big deal with custody. Well, I ran against her and I dropped out right before the election because I really didn't want the position. I wanted to prove a point that the public wanted change. After that election was over and she barely won that election. And had I not dropped out, she may have lost. But I got her, Katie True and Kathy Mandarino out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Both of them aren't in office anymore. They went on to, after the following election, they had went on to be part of the following governor's office staff and then retired out of politics after that. But I had those two ladies that were both Republicans introduce legislation that I had written for a full rewrite of the custody law for Pennsylvania. So prior to that legislation, there was no grandparents' rights. There was no presumption of equality for fathers and mothers in raising their children. It was a full rewrite. There was reasons in that rewrite. There was reasons for legal deviation, child abuse, child neglect, sexual assault, murder, things like that to prevent children from being put into harm's way. But we rewrote the budget. I got all of the fathers' rights groups, all of the mothers' rights groups, and all of the domestic violence coalitions in Harrisburg together for that vote. And we had that much support of the legislation that when the House had their hearing, they passed that legislation unanimously. It then went 2 weeks later to the Senate, and it's because of the unanimous vote of the House and all of the hearings from the House, the Senate never held one hearing. They voted on that bill and passed that bill unanimously. 2 weeks later, I was told that people from the 70s had tried to rewrite the custody legislation, and I was never going to get it done. I had it done in less than 2 years. So again, folks, when I tell you that I will fight for you, and I've got a big mouth that will run and fight for what's right, I am your man. So if you're willing to give me your vote, I am more than willing to fight for your rights in Northumberland County.
Well, I'll tell you, anybody that knows you or knows about you knows you're not very reserved when it comes to your comments or anything that needs to be said. But that's right. If we get a lot done when we work together in like I said, a bipartisan way. I don't think anybody should be in lockstep with anybody else, no matter if it's party or anything. Nobody should be this way just because, or that way just because. And well, I'm hoping that you do well. Like, I know that, like I said, I've known from what I've seen in the newspapers, from what I've heard in meetings, from what I've heard from everybody around, even the old councilman, the old Joe Lashinsky out there, he tells me good things about you, and you were in the same position he was, where wiretapping, and even one of our supervisors here, people need open transparency when it comes to any kind of politicians or any kind of political realm. So why should they trust in you? You're a newcomer to the politicians. Why not just stay with the old people, or not stay with the way things are?
Well, I run businesses. I don't necessarily want my checking account names and numbers on here, but I am that transparent that my name is on every business check. When I write checks, I can cash them. I'm not going to write a check. My mouth's not going to write a check that my rear end can't cash. At the end of the day, if you are, I don't care if you're a resident, if you're a taxpayer, if you're a business owner, or if you're passing through the county, if you want to talk and you come to a public meeting, you will have the time that you need to get out what you want. There will not be a 3-minute clock that shuts you off. I'll be the first one. If somebody's trying to shut you down, I guarantee I'll be the first one to say, Yeah, tell me more. Just to keep the conversation going, so none of the other council members, none of the other commissioners can shut you down, because that is the public's house. That is the place for the public to come and speak. And our representation is for you as the public. We are your mouthpiece. If nobody else is going to talk for you, those county commissioners are the ones that should be out there fighting for you. I mean, they're getting the paycheck. Now, granted, Vinny, what's Vinny? Vinny Clausy was a commissioner a while back. He's seen in the writing on the wall. When Vinny was a county commissioner prior, he reduced the salary from like $62,000 or $64,000 a year a county commissioner made to $32,000 a year. I'd like to see if we can't get them to pass that down to $15,000. Cover the cost of getting back and forth. What do we need a paycheck for? We should be volunteering to fight for our way of life. So again, I'm an old school Democrat. I'm willing to work with everybody, listen to everybody, and see. I may not agree with you 100%, but we're going to figure out how we can work together to make what needs happen to happen. You know, if you're sitting there calling this mouse blue and I'm calling it white, maybe it's pink. Let's figure out what works for everybody. You know, it's not politics is not a one-sided envelope. You know, and I've learned a long time ago. I've been in business almost all of my life. I'm 45 years old. At the end of January, I'll be 46 years old. And I learned a long time ago that you can fight for what's right and you can fight hard for what's right, but be willing to step back and settle for something that's in the middle that works for everybody and gets everybody going in the right direction, because there's always tomorrow to come back and redip. It's kind of like real estate. When you make an offer on a house, you put forth the worst offer up front. It's going to benefit you because you're the buyer. The seller's going to counter that offer and negotiate. At the end of the day, you guys can come together on an agreement and ratify a contract. But that doesn't end there, because now from there, you have home inspections. That's your second chance to dip back into that pot to get things fixed to the house that come up on the home inspection. Then you have mortgage contingencies. So as you're going through that process, if the appraisals don't come out right, you can re-dip into that pot. So there's another day for the fight. You don't have to win everything the first day on the battle.
Well, there you have it, guys. This is like I said, this is Jesse Storm, and he's going to be running for county commissioner in Northumberland County, Pennsylvania, and he'll be out and about collecting signatures and to run in the primary in May. It is so. Unless you have any last words, Jesse,
we're in the process of launching stormforcounty.com. So that's going to be the website that you can go on to and order signs and things like that. If you want signs, it's going to be stormforcounty.com. And also, you know, my phone number is readily available. You know, I'm a realtor, so it's always out there. 717-947-8037, 888-774-8488. Feel free to call anytime. Let's talk. I need a couple of you guys to step forward, and I know I probably have a good handful of folks already that asked me to become a commissioner, but I'm going to need a lot of you guys to step up to sign the petition that are actually Democrats in the community to get me on the ballot for the what is it, the primary? It's not the primary, it's the
you run the primary, then the general election in November.
The primary. So I mean, we've got to get a certain amount of signatures to be on the primary, and then, you know, again, you got to pull that. Well, it's not really pulling a lever anymore, right? So that shows my age. Go in and push those buttons and spin the dial.
Well, Jesse, we will definitely be linking your phone number and stuff in the comments and stuff like that, or your webpage. So,
any other questions you have for me?
I do not now, but like I said, we'll be linking that, and hopefully, when it comes around primary time, or if you win the primary, hopefully you'll come back on and tell us more about what you can do for the community.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Co-Region Disconnect, and we appreciate you being an upstanding member of the society here in Northumberland County and putting out the positive and correct information to the community.
Hey, thank you. Okay, guys. Now that was Jesse Storm. He's a realtor, but he is running for Northumberland County Commissioner, and he'll be collecting signatures, and he'll be running in the primary if he gets enough signatures. And I believe that everybody deserves to have an informed choice when going to cast their ballot. You shouldn't just cast your ballot just based on your party. You shouldn't just cast a ballot just based on because somebody said something or said the other thing. But he was the first Democratic political candidate to be on the show, and we hope that you decide to go out and do your research and possibly cast your vote for this man. But remember to like the video, share it out, and subscribe to all the channels. Since we are on YouTube at Coal Region Discontent, we are on anchor.fm/Coal Region Discontent. We're also on Facebook here, and we're on Rumble and Getter and Truth Social. But thanks for tuning in. And remember, the motto is always act stupid, get treated accordingly. Thank you. God bless.